Well, hey there guys, this is John here, and we're in the outdoors today, of course, just enjoying an absolutely gorgeous early spring day. The weather is phenomenal today, and I wanted to take the opportunity to do an in-the-field gear review for you guys. I've got the piece of gear right here in the good old front pack, so I'm going to break it out, talk a little bit about it, and we'll kind of go from there. What I have here is an ultralight backpacking tarp, and this happens to be from Outdoor Products, which is synonymous, of course, with Walmart. And I got to be honest with you guys, I was absolutely shocked to find something like this on the shelves at Walmart, of all places. Apparently the word's getting out on ultralight backpacking, so thumbs up on that. That's pretty cool. And you know, the other reason I wanted to talk about this was that it is a value-driven piece of gear, and that's what I love talking about over here on my channel. You know, cheap stuff, you know, not necessarily bad quality stuff, just cheap stuff, whether it's entry level or just a good bargain, good value. And that's what I found in this, and that's why I want to share it with you. So just a little bit about it other than the brand. It is a 5x7 tarp, and it is weighing in at about, I think it's like 8.9 ounces with the stuff sack. Now the stuff sack's pretty heavy duty, so you ditch that, and the tarp itself weighs in at just under 8 ounces. So, you know, not the lightest in the world, but please keep in mind throughout this video that we are talking a $10 tarp here, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead and get this set up. We're gonna go over it a little bit. I'm gonna give you my honest opinion. We'll look at it in detail if you're interested in picking one of these up for yourself, so you know whether or not to spend your $10 or just keep it in your pocket. Okay, so we've got our tarp set up in a basic A-frame design, pretty much for demonstrative purposes here. And one of the first things you can see is it's got a fair amount of room. Now keep in mind this is a 5x7 tarp, so in a setup like this, it's definitely going to shed some rain. This setup's not the best for wind protection, but for the purposes of this video, it'll do us just fine. So one of the first things we talk about here when we're talking about a tarp, and that's the material. And if you haven't noticed by now, this bright blue material kind of sticks out. And unfortunately, to the best of my knowledge, this is the only color that this is available in. So I don't know about you, but I prefer a kind of a more subdued tones myself, you know, but like I said, 10 bucks, beggars can't be choosers, right? So getting into this a little bit, one of the first things that we need to talk about when it comes to a tarp is the material. That is, of course, forms the basis of the whole setup here. And if you don't got a good foundation there, you really don't got much of a tarp. So what do we got here? We've got a polyurethane coated 70 denier nylon taffeta. Now, yeah, I know that is a mouthful, but it is one of the strong points of this tarp. That's actually a decent material. I've spent some time working on different projects, as you guys know, and I know my way around a little bit when it comes to material. Now this is not high-end material, it's not going to be Cuban fiber or something like that, but for a $10 tarp, that's some decent material there. So that's going to hold up well. That's actually the strong point of this tarp is the material. Now, of course, that doesn't do us much good if the construction isn't very good. And we're going to get into the seam work here a little bit. As you can see, we've got a fairly wide channel going on here, about 1.5 inches or so, and that's finished off with a rolled double-stitched seam. So that is that's actually pretty impressive. You know, you got a good base with the material, and you've got a nice finished edge along here, so definitely strong points on that. As I said, the one downside to this is, of course, that color. If you know that's something that's important to you, it's kind of important to me, but for a $10 tarp, you know, I can deal with the blue. Let's just put it that way. So the only other thing on the material is, of course, going to be its protective values, and of course there we're talking about rain. Now, straight out of the package with this tarp, it is fairly water resistant. I mean, this thing will shed some rain. I went ahead and took out some insurance on it by coating it with a product called Stay Dry to really enhance its waterproofness. And let me tell you, under a water hose test, this thing has worked out great. It's pretty much bomb proof as far as rain's gonna go. So if you want to take that extra step to take out that insurance for rain protection, it's gonna be well worth it. And like I said, you're not gonna get a drop of rain coming through this thing. Now, Wind is the other factor, of course, in shelter, and that's where we're going to get into the weak point of this tarp, and that is its tie-off points. Now, what I like to see in a tarp, and what you guys are probably used to seeing, is a webbing or a loop style attachment with some kind of backing here. And as you can clearly see, what we've got here is a cheap metal grommet. Now this is going to be the weak point of this whole setup, of this tarp here, okay? And this is one of the reasons it's a $10 tarp. These things are going to be prone to tearing out. In fact, I have seen 2 other videos on this particular tarp, and in both of those videos, during the setup of the tarp, they ripped grommets out. So that tells you a lot right there. Generally, when a guy is doing a video review on a product, he wants to show it in the best light. And if you're ripping out grommets, you know, during the filming, that it just kind of says a lot to me, at least. So, you know, I like those good, honest reviews like that. And you know, it gave me a little bit of info prior to getting this tarp, you know, as far as what I was getting into. Now, one of there's a couple remedies to that, you know, to get the most bang for your buck here, if you're really going to go with this. Now, one of those is to do away with the grommets, maybe pull those out and attach some backing in here and sew on your own loops, your own tie-out points, something that's going to be a lot stronger and that's not as prone to failure. Another thing that you can do is to tie on a length, pretty much a loop of shock cord material, and what that's going to do in wind or during a, you know, really taut setup, it's not going to put as much stress on the grommet. It's going to, you know, allow a little bit of leeway and a little bit of flexibility during a wind or, you know, other such things. So it's just going to help that grommet out a lot if you go ahead and decide to stick with that. And of course, you can get enough length of shock cord, you know, for about $1 or so at any fabric store. So really a good solution to a problem that would maybe be a prohibitive factor in this tarp. Now, with that said, there's not really much more to go on here. Like I said, the weight on this is going to be about, you know, 8 ounces. It is a 5x7 tarp. It's something that you can pick up at your local Walmart, $10 guys. So, you know, whether you're an entry-level backpacker or just somebody who's on a tight budget, or you want a shelter that you can stash in your vehicle or a bug out bag or some kind of preparedness kit, a shelter like this, you know, $10, you really cannot go wrong on that. So anyway, that's pretty much the look at the Outdoor Products 5x7 Ultralight Backpacking Tarp from Walmart. Hope this review has been helpful for you guys. And until next time, we'll see you later.